Across the country, hospital emergency rooms are seeing record numbers of patient visits. The hospitals are very busy throughout the year. Some of them, wait times are up and space is limited.
Yeah, that's right. Dr. Jet Ballard talked to Cliff and I about the most common visits to the ER and how you can avoid them. Take a look.
All right, for once we are not back in the gym. We are here in the ER.
But we're okay.
Yes.
We're fine.
We're here for Nat's visit.
I got him. I got him.
No, we're here with Dr. J in the ER to talk about what are some of the top reasons that people will come to the ER.
Yeah, well, I'm really glad you asked, Cliff, because strangely, it actually ties in heavily to the other segments we do, talking about eating right, fitness, not moving your body. Because what we really see the most, even though we are a level 1 trauma center, see all the stuff you think of with the ER, the exciting of the gunshot, the stabbing, what we see by far are complications of chronic disease bringing people in. Chronic disease that honestly could have been prevented decades ago, with some subtle life modifications, which is why we harp so heavy on the gym and the nutrition.
Okay, chronic disease. Break it down for us.
Yeah, no problem. So what I mean by that is we very often see complications of diabetes, complications of heart failure, complications of COPD exacerbations. These are the things that are getting the people into us the most often. It's those disease processes that started a long time ago and are just kind of progressing year by year by year.
And you mentioned prevention.
Mm-hmm.
And again, a lot of that has to do with your personal health.
And what we
It really
do in the
does.
gym.
What we do in the gym and the kitchen.
So let's talk about, for instance, what we're doing in the kitchen before we hit the gym. What are some things that you need to harp on in the kitchen so you don't end up here?
Yeah, well, metabolic disease, manifests in different ways. It comes out as diabetes, as heart attacks or heart failure, as obesity, but all of them are really kind of linked together. So it's that stuff in the kitchen. It's really, if you had to narrow it down to one thing in America, if you got rid of the highly processed carbs, that's probably what's hurting people the most. And I'm for all things in moderation, but I just mean big excess of it. We'll definitely see commonly people rolling in with heart failure or diabetes with the 44-ounce soda from the gas station. That shouldn't come in those quantities. It's just not good for you.
We're talking cheat days, not cheat months.
Correct, yeah. And you can get away with it like Christmas, go ham, you can live a normal life. It's just what you're doing day to day to day that winds up causing problems.
Okay. All right. So now let's move to the gym here. Out of the kitchen into the gym.
Yeah.
What's going to keep you out of here?
Well, yeah, kind of same things when we're talking about the gym. Exercise does huge things for this whole gamut of fitness. And honestly, when they study it, it's more effective than the medications we have across the board on most things. And I'm talking even stuff you wouldn't think about, like depression and anxiety. Going for a walk is highly effective without a regular exercise program. Diabetes, obviously, there's the run-in and just kind of weight loss. But when you lift weights and you build muscle, you actually use excess sugar a lot more efficiently. So you're going to decrease diabetes there. Any of the cardiovascular stuff is going to be helping, prevent heart disease, any sort of aerobics. And it doesn't have to be hardcore. You don't have to be on the track doing sprints. I'm just talking regular, consistent walks, but it's the things you're doing day in and day out. You go for a 2-mile walk every 3 months, not as good, much better to do a 10-minute walk a day, honestly.
Okay, so you talked about the chronic diseases, and let's talk about weather. Would the weather play a factor if it's too cold or too hot, for example, for the ER cases that you see here?
Yeah, absolutely. So Georgia gets kind of both extremes. So during the summer, we definitely see a lot more people passing out and whatnot, heat diseases. During the winter, people tend to be inside, congested more. So the viral respiratory stuff comes up a lot more frequently, but it actually plays back in. Someone like me gets a cold, I'm not gonna come to the hospital. I'm gonna kind of deal with it and I'm gonna feel bad for a week. But if you've got end-stage COPD or heart failure, the flu can actually be fatal. So that's where that chronic disease, just keeping yourself at a baseline health so you have a reserve when stuff happens, because stuff's always going to happen. There's no way to avoid that in life.
All right. Any last second things we should think about?
You can change today. I know you missed New Year, but you're close. Change today. It'll still work.
So if some people are watching now, they say, oh, it's too late for me because I already have these chronic diseases. Is it true? Is it too late for them, or they can still work on them?
Yeah, hard no on that. And that's one thing I love about the human body is it's so good about adapting what you ask it. So if me personally, if I started to just ask it to sit on the couch and eat potato chips, I will decompensate very quickly. But the reverse is true also. There are people literally in their 80s and 90s that are just starting weightlifting and they're seeing increased strength, increased vigor, increased energy, even increased bone density. So no matter where you're at in life, you can always start to make progress. Obviously, some people are going to have some setbacks, some injuries, but there's some stuff people might not think about, like joining up with the YMCA and doing a water aerobics class. Almost zero impact on the joint. You get that social aspect. There's always something you can do to improve.
Never too late.
All right. Yeah. Last question.
Yeah.
Is Nat going to make it?
Odds are higher. Odds are higher.
Good. You heard it here. All right. Appreciate it, Dr. Tim.
Hey, no problem, y'all. Good talking.